This is my first YouTube video. The planters that I'm going to build are approximately 5 foot long, 2 foot wide or deep, and I'm not sure of the height yet. I'm thinking around 3 feet, but I want to raise them up a little bit, so we'll see what the final measurement ends on. So I'm looking for budget friendly. Sometimes I look for other materials that can substitute. I also like mixed materials, so I look for metal a lot to go with my wood. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna do just yet. I don't have a sketch, but I'm just gonna wing it, and you're along for the ride with me. I went with cedar. I did price out treated lumber, but knowing that it was gonna be touching plants, I really wanted to go for as natural as I could. Cost effective wise, I'm kind of a nerd and I do spreadsheets to figure out what the best breakdown is going to be for the budget, but I ended up on a lot of 2x4x10s. That'll give me my 5 foot length of the beds, and then I also grabbed a lot of pickets. This is the wood that I ended up on. Again, these are 2x4x10s, and then I did grab one 1x4x10 as well. And I have about 15 dog-eared pickets right there. The thickness is going to be different, so that's why I'm using the cheapest material for the inside where it really doesn't matter, but I want to get more beefiness on the outside. And then what I'll do is I'll come down here and just cut off the dog ear portion. So again, you can see that my main lumber for the outside is rough sawn. I have a planer, very lucky to have that, so I'll run that through, and I will clean up one of the outside edges, and then of course I'm going to cut this in half to make 1x4x10s, and then I'll take those 10-foot boards, cut them in half again so it's 5 foot long. This is my shop dog Odin. He is stretching, getting ready to work. Are we going to make some planters for outside? Yeah? Are you ready? Are you ready? Okay, let's do it. So I just got finished cutting my 2x4x10s. I had 5 of them, so now I have 10 5-footers. And what I'm doing is setting up a stop block so that I can cut the ends off, like I said, just to make them more dimensional and look nicer, get some of the rough stuff off. Factory ends can absolutely screw you up in any project, so make sure that you cut those off. I don't have a good stop block situation though, which excuse me, means that I would set a specific measurement and put all the boards again so they all come out exactly even. So I'm going to show you the little setup that I did. It's just kind of makeshift, but you know, it works, so they'll all come out the same length. So here is my makeshift stop block. Basically, I just took a piece of wood right here. I measured out 5 foot to the center of my saw, and I just clamped it down. And that way, when I put the piece of wood against here, it's going to be the same measurement every time. So if you look here, and it just came off, but when you put it against the stop block, as it should be, it comes out to exactly 5 foot. I realized I should mention a couple things. Number one, on the ends of the boards, because I got them from like a home improvement store, there were a lot of staples that I had to take out, and actually some on the sides too. So you should take those out beforehand, because obviously those can cause a problem. I also wanted to show my center line, and I made sure to do extra measurements with a ruler just to make sure that I was dead center. My table saw can only go up to about 3 inches. Obviously this is beyond that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, set it to, I don't know, maybe about halfway or a little more. And then I'm going to flip the board over, continuing on the same side, and do the rest of the cut. So that's how you can utilize a smaller table saw blade to get through thicker pieces of wood. All the boards are cut in half, the 2x4s, and again 5 foot. I don't know if you can tell or not, but from resawing there's some, raised areas. So what I'm gonna do is run these through the planer. So we have one very smooth side, and it doesn't really matter, you know, that the other side is rough. So I just finished planing all the 1x4x5s. Any marks that are left over I can sand out later. The sides will be 2 foot. The top and bottom will be 5 foot. Haven't figured out the legs yet. Not sure what I'm going to do. But this is kind of a general idea of what I'm looking to do. So I'm taking the dog-eared pickets and I'm going to cut slats for the bottom of the planter and then also the supports for the inside. So again, I'm thinking maybe 10 slats for the bottom. They're going to be 2 foot each, and about the actual measurement is 5.5 inches wide. And then there's also going to be support beams to or support boards to hold up all the cedar on the outside for the main planter area. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut these bottom slats. So again, the outside portions are 5 foot, and the for the long way, and the side portions were going to be approximately 2 feet. I have to account for this board on the outside and another one over here on the outside. So I'm going to take that 24 inches that I had approximated, and I'm going to subtract 1.5 inches because that is the measurement of 2 of these boards put together is approximately 1.5 inches. So that's why I am subtracting that from the side. So these fit within the other ones. So I'm going to keep cutting away and get all the side slats that I need and then pick up from there. So I took the picket fences, I cut them down and cut them all the same size. They come out to about 71 inches. Again, I need an inside dimension of 22.5 inches by 5.5 inches this way. So I'm going to cut these down. I should get 3 pieces per board. So I've got all the supports for underneath already done, and now I'm going to go over and I'm going to do the supports with the picket fences. So I'm going to cut these into thirds, and that way, you know, that should be beefy enough just to kind of keep the panels together as supports. So I calculated if I cut them at 1 13/16 that I should get 3 equal portions. So we need, let's see, 8. We need 1, 2, 3, 4. For the other side, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we're going to do 12 of these now. As we look around, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 boards. 9 boards here. So here's how I'm going to do the supports. I'm going to house one piece under and then put the other one directly on the top. So when you are nailing this down, just keep in mind that it needs to be this height up so this board can fit under. I'm going to do a couple of supports here and here. I just need to trim these down. I wasn't sure where I wanted them to land yet. Here is what I'm thinking about legs. I kind of looked around at the local hardware store, tried to get creative. I wanted something weather resistant. I originally was going to go with angle iron, but it's super expensive. So I tried to think of what I had in my own shop and use that. So basically, here's what I came up with. I'm going to put, oh, and this will be, this will run all the way across. And that's what, let me grab this. These slats are going to sit on that holds up the dirt. I want a depth of about 2 foot for the plants. So it would kind of be a little like a board and a half down, just so like when it rains and stuff and dirt, you know, kind of goes all over, it won't jump out of the box. I bought this cap, and so I will seat it. I'll probably take a Forstner bit and just, you know, wedge it in there a little bit. This is 2-inch pipe. And then for the foot, I will try and use this. This is a 2x3-inch floor drain. I thought this would be creative. Okay, onward. We're at the router table now because what I want to do is take the outside boards, and I'm gonna use a 1/8 inch round over bit, and I'm gonna round over on the insides here so that when they're put together, it looks like there's a little bit of a space in between, almost like a gap, to give it kind of just a little extra texture. So I'll run a couple boards and put them together and show you what it looks like. And make sure to round over the good face that you're going to have on the outside. Alright, so it may be a little bit difficult to see, but when they're rounded over, it looks like there's a little bit of a gap in between, just for some extra texture. Again, you don't have to do this, it's just a nice little added, you know, detail. But you can also, if you don't have a router, you can just sand these all kind of rounded before you start to put them together. I went ahead and screwed down the supports in different areas, and then what I did was I left enough room here to put the slats. So let me take this here, and each slat is going to fit in here, and they'll be across, 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 across. Now I was looking at this and I realized immediately I made a mistake. Again, I don't have any real plans here. I'm just kind of winging it and modifying things as I need to. Well, I was looking at this and I thought, okay, I'm going to continue on to the next step. And then I realized these supports do not connect to here. So the bottom rung is not connected. So I'm going to look around my shop and figure out a quick solution and then move on to the next phase. Problem solved. I grabbed some scrap pieces of cedar that I had left over from the materials, and I put some short supports to keep that bottom board in. And then I went ahead and screwed it in, and then the slats on the bottom, I did cut out some little corner pieces to fit around those supports. So I just kind of laid everything out how it might fall into place, and I kept in consideration having a bit of a spacing here just for drainage. Again, I went through there, and this is kind of what it's going to look like when it's put together. So obviously mistakes will be made, especially when you don't have plans, but problem solving is the biggest part of it. You know, I flipped a house a couple of years ago, and I had a contractor help me and teach me things. And the biggest lesson that I learned from that was literally there are no mistakes, because you can always problem solve and figure out a different way to do it. A little bit of engineering and open-mindedness is all you need. I still need to put a bunch of, you know, screws through here just to, you know, make it fasten even a little bit more. But this is kind of what it's looking like right now. I haven't secured the side panels yet either, but now I'm going to do the same thing on this side, but I'm running these longer because of, you know, my mistake earlier. So those are going to be secured, just 4 of them, as opposed to the extra supports. So you can see I still have to put some screws in these also and tighten everything up, but I've notched out all the supports on both sides. So this should fit pretty well when put together. And then I will go ahead and put the screws in to the sides. And I'm trying to decide what we're going to do for the corners here. I'm thinking I might actually take some kind of piece of wood and try and bend it around the corners, and I'll show you how I might do that. Okay, so we're going to go inside the cavity of the planter, and I started laying out some of the slats, and I think I'm just going to take my 18 gauge nailer and just, let's see if we can angle this enough and kind of throw a nail just to keep this thing down, and we'll keep doing that throughout all the slats. Here we are at the bottom of the planter. I flipped it over upside down so you could see kind of what things look like and what I'm going to do with the legs. So basically we have the slats that are underneath here, and I took a piece of that picket fence and I cut it down to 5 foot, and I ran it perpendicular to the slats just to give it a little extra support underneath. And then I wanted to take the caps for the PVC pipe that I'm going to use for the legs. So I used this as a guide. I took a hole saw and I cut this circle, kind of sanded it out, and I notched it to what I needed underneath here. So this is going to sit supported pretty well. I'm going to screw this in here, and then this is, I'm not sure what the measurement is going to be yet for the legs, but this is kind of what it's going to look like. And I took a floor drain, it's a 2x3, and I took the metal piece off the bottom, so this is kind of what it looks like without, just because I think it's going to rust. So I will put this in here, and it'll be seated in here, and that's how the legs will be. I'll decide later the measurement, but I'm also going to spray paint this black just to give it a little extra oomph. So we're rounding the corner of getting the feet put on the planter. Just wanted to point out I also just threw some extra screws in here. I'm just going to put these in, and then I'm going to grab someone to help me flip it over. I've been trying to figure out the corners of the planter, and it's really been a pain to figure out. I tried bending wood. I did some different cuts and depths, and I did get bend in it, but not enough to make a 90-degree angle. So I decided not to spend any more time on that idea, scrapped it. I looked around on my property. I'm all about upcycling, and I found these old raised garden bed posts, and they're composite. And I was able to get 90 degrees here and here, cut it on the table saw. I cut it down to size for the corners, and I spray painted them. So I thought that's pretty nifty. So basically, it's going to go perfectly right on the corner and be weather resistant. And then I will just screw it in, and it'll cover all the screws on the outside here. So that is the next step of the plan. Also putting trim on top here. I'm going to look at my stack of wood, see what I have left. I'm thinking just a regular cedar board to go on top with a little bit of a lip, just to kind of cover all the supports. I looked around at the wood I had left, and again, just trying to keep this within budget. Economically, I should go with the pickets again for the trim. So I think what I'm going to do here, these are again 5.5. So I want to cover the supports, and if I do 3 inches, I'll have a little bit of a lip. So I'm going to make these so there's about a 1/2 inch lip. I want to remind you that all these ideas that I'm showing you, these scrap pieces, they're things I had around my house. For the legs, I used PVC. You could use pressure treated wood. You could use angle iron. You could do whatever you want. This was just a way for me to upcycle some materials and keep things under budget, because yeah, these planters get pretty expensive. Right now I'm ballparking the cost of each planter at about $250 or so. And then when you put in the dirt and peat and plants and everything else, it's, you know, obviously going to be near 300. So I'm trying to save where I can and be scrappy about it. but just be creative. That's the best thing about a craft. I popped the trim on yesterday, and this is the dog-eared picket fencing. And as I look at it today, I gotta be honest, I'm just not thrilled. It doesn't wow me. It's a lot lighter than the other stuff. It's a bit, warped because it's a thinner material. So I'm going to take it off. I already popped this one off. And what I believe I'm gonna do is cut more of the corner composite and place that on top, because I think that'll look really sharp. You can do the trim with cedar, you can do pressure treated wood, anything else that you think is interesting looking. I would just say make it beefier than I did. The thickness is just like not enough, and probably make it wider too. I just think it would look better overall, but that's my opinion. So again, do what works for you. I've got all my trim pieces cut out with the composite. I went ahead and just kind of fit everything in here. I used my miter saw and was just very careful about the cuts. Everything will fit together very nicely. And then because these are only 4 foot long and I have a 5 foot planter bed, I decided I was going to put an extra piece right down the center. So that's what that line's for. So I'm going to finish trimming this out and we're almost to the finish line. I feel like I've run a marathon with this planter, but I'm about done. You can see all the trim is on. I do need to sand out, just some extra spray that came off when I was detailing it, but everything is put together nicely with nails and spray painted, so I think it looks fairly seamless. The fabric is inside already. I just put that together real quick, and I'm about to take her out for a spin and get some soil going. I got my vegetable plants in too, and I did about 2 feet of dirt, which may seem like a lot, but I really want my plants to have a lot of room to grow. Thanks for joining me, and please watch the next video. Thanks. Remember, I'm just starting out on my YouTube journey, so I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe and like the video down below, and that'll help me continue to make new ones for you.